Hello, I am Saru, and this is week -1 of the King's Court Draft League. For this draft league, Mensa and I are teaming up to create a team called the Boys. A little about me. This is my first time ever playing in a Pokémon draft league. When Pokémon Champions released was when I really started getting into competitive Pokémon. But I did first try it in Sword and Shield, although I was a complete beginner, and still am. I have a lot of experience when it comes to thinking, sometimes maybe even too much. And lastly, quick self-plug, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/sarusi. You might be asking, what is the King's Court Draft League? And how does it differ from other draft leagues like the Wolfie Draft League? The King's Court Draft League is a draft league like most others, except that every team consists of 2 players, a duo of sorts. Every week, for 8 or so weeks, we have a closed team sheet battle, best of 3 format, on Pokémon Champions. The winner of each round will get a badge, and the more badges you get, the closer you are to winning the entire event and going into playoffs. But I'll go deeper in depth when I cover the rules. This draft league is a draft league run through the King VGC Discord server. I'll have a link to it down below. But anyway, here are the rules. The regulation will be Reg M-B, so you can use any Pokemon or items legal in this format for the draft league. Each team will get 100 points to draft their mons. Each mon has a different price derived from their expected value, and you draft a total of 8 Pokemon. In this draft, you may not draft a Pokemon that has already been drafted, nor will you be allowed to draft a Pokemon from the same species that you have already drafted. For example, you cannot get both Mega Charizard Y and X on the same team. If you draft a Mega Pokemon, it must hold its Mega Stone, even if you don't plan on Mega Evolving it in the battle. Battles are played in a doubles format, best of 3, closed team sheets, but you will know your opponent's 8 Pokemon beforehand. Trades are possible only in week 1, where you will have the option for 3 trades, but the Pokemon you traded cannot exceed the 100 points you started with. Any Pokemon released after Regulation M-B will not be legal for this league, but held items from newer regs will be allowed in Top Cut. Top Cut will be the top 4 teams with the most amount of badges after 7 weeks. The badges are earned from winning a round in your BO3, not the entire set, but a single round. So if you win 2, you earn 2 badges. If you win 1, you earn 1 badge, even if you lose. For the first stage of the draft, we needed a good game plan, something to start us off on the right foot. So Mensa and I looked over all the Pokemon and took note of the Pokemon that were either valuable or really cheap to give us a good value. Mensa, the Excel wizard, created a spreadsheet that would automatically sort all the Pokemon by their base stat totals and point price to find out who the most valuable Pokemon for their prices were. What we saw was that the Trick Room sweepers were lower in the point cost range with high stats, so we picked Trick Room as our main strat. Sadly, we got 5th pick in the draft order. In a snake draft, the male spouts are the worst, so our team was worried we wouldn't be able to get our number 1 pick that we could craft the best strats round. 5th pick is bad, since you don't get the advantage of going first or last with a double pick in some rounds, and by the time you get to your pick, the top 4 Pokemon would be drafted, and by your second pick, 7 more would be drafted, then 9 more, till your 3rd pick would be gone, and so, by being in the middle of the draft, you lose out on opportunities to draft a good Pokemon consistently, and that would just ruin our fun. In this regulation, What Pokemon do you think of when you hear the words Trick Room? Drumroll please. So of course, our first pick was Farigiraf. Farigiraf is a Pokemon that we have all seen before on the ranked ladder, with both Trick Room setter options and Trick Room sweeping options. It can fit into almost any team no matter the archetype, with all its supporting options, with a solid defensive typing that only leaves two weaknesses. Dark? No, one weakness. It can be turned into an absolute wall with the right stat spread and survive almost any attack. I forgot that it's also weak to bug. For our second pick, we still have a lot of points to spend, and we need a strong Trick Room sweeper with great damage and the ways of attacking outside of Trick Room. Mawile is our pick. Mawile has a solid 85 base attack, but when it's in its Mega, it grows by 20, and that's not it. With huge power, it doubles that 105 attack power. Mawile's typing is good defensive and offensive, with only two weaknesses. In its base form, you can run Hyper Cutter to save your attack for or Intimidate, or if you want to ruin your opponent's attack stat, you can run Intimidate. Whether you are in Trick Room or out, a nice sunny day can always cheer you up. Give it up for the Droughtmon, Torkoal. Torkoal is great for both weather control as the slowest Pokemon with the Drought ability, and because of its slow speed, it also works wonders in Trick Room. With Eruption, Weather Ball and Heat Wave, it can pack a fiery punch with solid coverage moves like Earth Power and Solar Beam, and even disrupting moves like Yawn. When I just started playing Trick Room, this was my first Pokemon I tried to build around. Fire Pokemon. Our team needed more support, and a mon that can almost do any supporting role is Liepard, the cheapest non-mega prankster support Pokemon. Liepard has one of the best abilities in the entire game with Prankster, and as the cheapest prankster mon that isn't Mega Banette, it's a steal. With not only Fake Out, but other great supporting moves, it can stop almost any Pokemon from setting up with Encore. Prankster Parting Shot gives you so much room to set up your ideal board state to win. With so many good options, it's basically a Swiss Army knife of supports. A cheap mini Sableye. Have you ever not been sure what your opponent is running? Well, we're here to make that worse by running Hisuian Zorak. Now, they won't know what Pokemon we are running. They also don't know what moves that Pokemon is running. So we're here to make the chaos more chaotic. Zorak is here to help make the chaos worse when your opponent has to think about every move even more and think, is that Zorak? You can surprise them with the weirdest movesets or a Shadow Ball from left field. With Fake Out immunity and only one weakness to Dark, it gives us another option of how to run this team outside of Trick Room thanks to its speed. For our sixth pick, this little bug is our cheapest pick by far at a whopping 2 points, but don't let that cheap price fool you. This bug is a monster with both supporting moves and damage. Give it up for Arachnid. Arachnid has great damage with double water stab, a lot of special bulk, and wide guard as well. This little bug can soak up damage for years. This Pokemon works well as a tanky support and as an attacker. Now down to our last two picks, and we still had a lot of points to spend. We need a second mega option, and something with power outside of Trick Room. So, what is fast and works out of Trick Room? Boom! Mega Glimmora. Mega Glimmora is a strat for out of Trick Room, with high speed and great damage, and great coverage moves. If you don't bring a counter, you can easily snowball with it. Though Mega Glimora can struggle with one-hit KOs, with a little helping hand and support, nothing stands in its way. Our last pick might change due to trains, but be warned, if you treat it too lightly, Mega Steelix will just crush you. Mega Steelix might seem a bit off for our final pick, I agree with you there, but we were thinking of taking it as an earlier pick since it has the best stats per point cost out of any Pokémon available, and it gets Wide Guard, so even if you just bring it and don't Mega it, you can still use it. We were a little inspired by the Wolfie Steelix team, and it is a much needed ground type that our team is lacking. And finally, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and sub. Also, follow me on Twitch. This video format was inspired by King VGC.